How's it going? Welcome back to the Raj channel, and I hope you guys are having a great day so far. So today I got a story about a very close call in go-karting that could have ended very badly. I remember when I go-karted with my friends, there was always something happening, whether someone slipping out or just crashing into each other, and there's always something spicy going on. But yeah, sit back, relax, and grab some popcorn, and yeah, watch till the end to know what will happen. You know the drill. If you want to send in your own story, you can do so via mailing me at rajbusiness@gmail.com. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So today's video is actually the second story that the previous video's subscriber who also sent in that story, his name is Max. So back in 2019, Max was quite the motorsport lover. And like a 10-minute drive away from his home, there was this go-kart track he was really interested in. And soon he realized that he was pretty talented because every time he went right on a go-kart, he felt like he was very fast, faster than his opponents. But you see, as with every competitional game, there will always be cheaters on the road. You know, people cutting corners, people bumping into each other and basically just let the other opponent slip so you can, drive past. Because I personally always had that when I was go-kart racing. Like, one of my friends would just kind of cut me off, and then it's like really difficult to keep up with them because they're just cutting off your speed and basically your position and everything. And mainly if there are a lot of bends and twists and turns, like it's really hard to keep up after that. But anyways, Max had a friend and his name was Jerry, and this Jerry kid, he went with him to the races, and Max told me that he was a pretty dirty racer, that Jerry dude. And sadly, Max had to learn that the hard way. And to add a significant level of awkwardness to the story, there was also a girl with Jerry. Jerry brought her with her, and her name was Jessie. And Max never met Jessie before in his life. So anyways, Max, Jessie and Jerry decided to race on the track, but because Max was a smaller kid, he could only fit in the slower go-karts. So as you can see, Max was quite at a disadvantage because Jerry and Jessie had faster go-karts and Max had a lot of trouble keeping up with them. So anyways, the race starts and Max sadly is at the last place and Jessie is first and Jerry, the guy, was second. And apparently this Jerry kid was a sleeper because Max really didn't know that Jerry was such a good driver, but he was really good, and eventually Jerry slipped right in front of Max. Another spicy detail to this story is that the racetrack was pretty dark because the sun was already setting. So anyways, because that aforementioned slip of Jerry, Max decided that it was time to strike back, and so he did and ended up in the second place. Max only had one mission, and that was to become first. But Jenny, however, the girl, she was really far ahead. Like, he really had to do his best to keep up with her because her kart was way better than his. So he was pushing and pushing, and the gap, he really wanted that gap to become smaller. However, as Max succeeded in catching up to Jessie, Jerry also succeeded to catch up to Max. He was literally bumping the exhaust of Max. He was that close. So basically, what do you do if someone is behind you if you're in a race? You have to defend, and what that means is you have to put your car in such a position in front of your opponent that is behind you that they cannot pass you. If you go to the right, you have to make sure that they don't go to the left. If they go to the left, you have to make sure that you also go to the left so they cannot pass you. And that is exactly what Max managed to do. He managed to keep Jerry behind him. But sadly, even the best drivers have the most trouble defending because it takes so much willpower and concentration that eventually you will run out of that and your opponent will overtake you. However, that is not what happened because Max noticed that Jerry had a lot of trouble even thinking about overtaking him because there were a couple of twists and turns where he could already have overtaken Max if he was really good, but he didn't do that at all. And later in the track there was a really difficult turn, that has no room for error. So what happened is that Max didn't leave him any room to pass him because, as he understood his driver skills, he didn't even have to do that because Jerry wouldn't overtake him anyway. He wouldn't dare to do it. But of course, what did Jerry the idiot decided to do? He decided to ram into the rear right tire of Max, which sent him off the track at pretty high speeds, which was obviously very dangerous. And Max was in deep trouble because you see at the side of the track there was a pretty deep ditch. And as Max got bumped by Jerry, his go-kart lost all control and he couldn't really do much about it. And Max, he had no choice. He had to full speed ahead the other side because he was like spinning around, right? So behind him was the grass and a ditch, and in front of him was the track. So he kind of straightened out his kart and full throttled ahead on the road, and eventually he managed to get his grip back. Now Max was actually kind enough to provide me with a picture of the race so you guys could see what was happening here. And Max told me that behind this bunch of trees was actually where the ditch was situated, and this was also actually the turn where his wheels spinned out and he lost all control. And yeah, sadly Max actually finished last because of all the shenanigans that happened during the race. And I don't know about you guys, but if someone is crashing into you from behind while you're driving the go-kart, like you really feel that. You really feel it in your muscles and you kind of get this whiplash effect. Because you see, you're just sitting on a bunch of hard plastics and there's absolutely no flexibility in those chairs. So if you get bumped from behind, well, the full G-forces of that blast are gonna be on your backside. It's gonna violate your backside. Like me, after I went the last time go-karting, like one of my friends also crashed into me and I also had like maybe like a week of back pain. And yeah, Max also actually told me that eventually, if someone is going to crash into you, you have to tense up your neck muscles to kind of take the blows, you know, take the G-forces of that crash. So yeah, at this point, you would think that Max would never race with Jerry again, because to be quite frank with you, racing with him, judging by this story, like, you wouldn't really want to race with Jerry. But you see, a few months later, Max had grown taller and he actually was able to ride in the better, the faster go-karts. So, you know, if you're playing a race game and you have car has their own stats, you know, Max had the same stats as Jerry now. And because of the similar stats, this is all going to be skill based. You know, if both people have the same card but not the same skill, then one of the other are going to lose or win. And that is exactly what happened, because Max did 2 more races and he totally beat the crap out of Jerry. Well, not physically, but during the races, obviously. And yeah, then like the major historical events happened of 2020, and sadly the go-kart track was closed back then, and now it's still actually closed, and Max cannot wait to ride again on the same track if it will open again. Anyways, moral of the story, please, ladies and gentlemen, do not be a Jerry. Give people space in their lives like it's a go-kart track. Like, give people space, drive safely, also just in life in general, you know? It's fun playing competitive games, but please don't jeopardize other people's lives, because that is just plainly stupid to do. I mean, that's always the case with a game, for example. Yes, you can cheat, but if the other party finds out that you've been winning so much with cheating, like, they are not going to be playing with you anymore. They're not willing to play with you anymore. Your reputation is going to shit and people will just lose all their respect in you. So it's just not worth it, man. Anyways, thank you so much, Max, for your story, and you, the viewer, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on it. It will mean the world to me. Click on one of the stories showing up in the suggested tab or on the end screen. You will see them right now. I'm 100% sure you will enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in another one of my videos. Peace.